Good day, everybody. Brian here, quantlabsnet.com. Today's video is going to be pretty pivotal, I think, for the future of quant research, specifically. Real world example is from Man Group out of the UK. They're the largest publicly on record hedge fund in the world. So, what I've done is I've got this article found on, I think it's hedgeweek.com. Yeah, hedgeweek.com. Title of the article: Man Group deploys agentic AI for quant signal discovery. This is a lot bigger deal than you think. So, their quant arm, Man Numeric, began a new agentic AI system capable of autonomously generating code and backtesting trading strategies. Sounds like what I do. I've been doing for the last, let's say, 6 months. Significant step in automating quantitative research pipeline at the world's largest listed hedge fund. So they have this now thing called Alpha GPT, mimic human research by human quant analysts. Okay. Now just remember that these are humans. Mines historical data, formulates rule-based trading signals, corresponding code, and evaluates performance through backtesting. Sounds pretty familiar to what I'm doing. Human oversight remains essential. I would agree. This tool produced several dozen investment signals that have been approved for live trading, according to the senior portfolio manager, Zhang Fang. Deployment of this system marks one of the first institutional scale use of agentic AI. Again, first institutional scale. Class of large language model tools capable of performing multitask with minimal human intervention. It's noted that the move addresses information avalanche, which is true. And if you see my demos using Claude 3.7 with reasoning, it does the same thing for very little money. So now this is a problem for information avalanche for today's quants. AI helping to navigate vast data sets and academic literature faster and more effectively than manual research alone. So they're facing hallucinations, inconsistent output persist. So they're putting out caution. I wouldn't call it autopilot because we have a lot of checkpoints in place to make sure we have proper guardrails on our investment process. I'm going to talk about what I've done to dig deeper on this. Still, the ambition is to move autonomous system that can self-verify its work and continuously refine ideas at scale. That's what the reasoning does with the 3.7 Claude reasoning model. So what I've done is I've gone in and, of course, created another, what will be an article on my blog, a pretty deep one, 30,185 words. You can see the bottom there. And this came up with this article title, New Mind of the Markets, How Man Group AI Quant Redefines the Hunt for Alpha. I did this on purpose to, the bigger the article, the more it digs and the more things you get out of it. So they're obviously using AI. Now, what is alpha? Is the elusive market beating edge. That's over a benchmark with the S&P 500. So it's led by brilliant minds with PhDs in physics, math, and computer science who spend their days forming hypotheses, wrangling massive data sets, writing complex code to uncover hidden patterns in the market chaotic symphony. So that is the traditional way as a human. As of, I don't know when officially, but we'll just say this year, it's all changed. I think a lot of jobs and careers are going to change as a result. Humans will not be able to compete against this. And mark my words, I don't like saying it, that you got to really be aware of your career. And more importantly, don't get complacent about it. So, what they've done at Man Group, as it said, they revealed this. Okay, so this is important to see here. To automate their entire quant research process. Now, again, this is an article generated by AI from an article probably put together a very small amount of information on the site Hedge Week. So through its pioneering quantitative division, Man AHL, the firm built unleashed AI agents designed to act as autonomous junior quants. So think about it. If you're a recent graduate looking for jobs in this field, you now have the largest firm, hedge fund firm in the world with an agentic system that can replace probably all those jobs. Okay. Other examples. There was an article I put up about HSBC that have now agentic AI replacing all their back office employees. Another one, um, Goldman Sachs has put out another AI chatbot equivalent that will help um, analysts and just staff at Goldman Sachs to do all their jobs, but doing it with a proprietary chat GPT, probably on some, what I looked at was inferior models. So here we have Man AHL doing the same thing, replacing all their back end as well. I just say junior quants. And if you look at companies like Salesforce, they've done the same thing. I was just watching a interview with Mark Benioff. He said, I think it's up to 80% of the work is now automated through AI. That means no jobs coming out of AI. So the big tower in San Francisco they built, I don't know what it's for. It's probably going to be a nice white elephant. Um, so all these agents, which are advanced LLMs, can independently generate investment hypothesis, which I'm doing, write their own Python code to test them, which I'm doing, access and analyze vast market and alternative data sets, which I'm doing. I'm doing this as well, little old me, and learn from their successes and failures. All the supervision of senior human researchers. I do all that. I've been doing that for the last month. The only thing I'm not doing right now is putting that what's generated, what's suggesting, a portfolio, and with the simulated forecasted output growth in that portfolio. I've not tested that yet. I'm very close to at that point, very small amounts, but the returns of like 20-25% over a month, that's with stock and ETF. But yet we've also got the ability to do the same thing with futures and options. So everything does come down um, to the asset class. Most likely, man is using uh, uh, options and futures. So what they said is not a next iteration of machine learning, staple in quant finance for years for tasks like recognition and to autonomous action and reasoning. This represents a transition from using AI tool to employing AI as a teammate. Not just that, but these hedge funds and just institutions have now the capabilities to replace a lot of the research and only have probably the most gifted researchers left on top of the researchers and junior people pretty well gone, and along with the coders as well. Um, so this is a transition for using AI to employing AI as a teammate. Okay. Designed by Men Group AI own leadership, these agents are being tasked with discovering new trading signals from scratch, effectively scaling the firm's research capacity in a way that was previously unimaginable. I can live and attest to that. I've shown you using the Claude 3.7 reasoning, using something like Streamlit, you have the capabilities where the AI will generate features you did not ask for. And when you look at them, you go, oh, wow. Now, if you've not seen my video with the interactive brokers and my commentary on that, because with interactive brokers TWS, you have to be on the local operating system. So you're stuck on, let's say, Windows. So you're very limited on what you can use to generate all this stuff. Now, I had it natively generate um, Dash front ends of Python, the Python package Dash. It's not that good. But when you throw in, and you have to go through a lot of legwork to get Streamlit running on Windows, which get past that, and a cost I might add, you will see the power of the AI generation for Streamlit applications in Python. It's unbelievable what you can do with it. And again, these are things I would never thought of, but that data, that content's coming from somewhere, and it's probably coming from source projects on that the hedge funds put out. I don't know, maybe from research papers. I don't know, but it's there and it's using it, and it gives me that information. That's the power of what how I'm doing it. Develop signals the dawn of a new era, forcing a profound reevaluation where alpha comes from. Rule of human quant will be true, will be in the 21st century, and very nature of competitive arms race that defines high finance. So what I'm saying here is we are now at a new era. Of all the things in the past that we've done as humans are pretty well thrown out. If they're not generating your front ends, your simulators, your dashboards, and your back end by AI, you're going to get eaten alive because the AI that is used by other people are going to be doing it. So you're forced to use it no matter what your stance is. So always compare. It's like when the Model T Ford came out with the first combustible engine, you had a whole crowd of horse and buggy people that resisted it. And where are they now? Where were they in the first 10 years? Gone. We're at that point now with what this is about here. Um, so this intricate technology makes it possible in the strategic and system shockwave it is designed, destined to create. Age of AI quant has begun and the market will never be the same. Very true. Here's the quant's dilemma. And again, this is an article created by AI. That's why I do it, because it brings out and susses out all this stuff that no human reporter can come out with. So you have an unending thirst for decaying resource. So I didn't know this, but the AI told me this now. So the AI agent, one must first understand the world it was born into, quant investing or quant, discipline built on the premise that markets, while seemingly random, contain faint and exploitable patterns of signals. That's what my course is about in futures and options. I see it all the time, especially when it comes to call parity. A signal is any piece of information or statistical anomaly that creates or predicts future price movements. It could be as simple as a value signal, stock with a low price to book ratio tend to outperform, or complex as a machine learning model that predicts earnings surprises based on satellite imagery or retail parking lots. Who would never thought of that as using that kind of data? That data came from somewhere. Profit generated from these signals independent overall market movement known as alpha. Holy Grail is pure skilled return, and entire multi-trillion dollar hedge fund industry is built around in its pursuit. So let me stop right there, because a lot of portfolio managers, portfolio analysts, uh, and here it's saying hedge funds and the banks, your guy at or lady at investment group, they're all out of a job soon because the AI that what you're learning right now is going to do what they do 100 times better, 100 times more accurate, and less risk. Um, so these people, unless, and I've said this before, unless they get their act together and start doing what I'm doing, they're going to run into a real career dilemma. They'll be out of a job. They'll be like the horse and buggy people, out of a job fast. And the other thing that needs to be really understood here is how critical it is that the schools that pump out all these graduates coming out of university in the Ivy League schools with PhDs and masters, they got to adapt very quickly as well. Because now what's happening is you've got young people being able to figure this stuff out, be able to spend peanuts, and be able to generate all this stuff on their own. And then they ask themselves, why do I need to go to school? Why do I even need a job if I'm capable of doing this? This is where we're at. So we're going to have a new kind of arms race when it comes to AI because of so many people getting into it over time and watching all the hot dog frat boys on YouTube selling all their latest. I created this $30,000 thing in 5 minutes and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, you're going to have that too. So alpha has a fatal flaw. It decays. Now, this is something I didn't know. Profitable signals discovered and exploited, the very act of trading on it begins to diminish its effectiveness. As Other market participants discover the same signal. This is the problem that Rentec went through. They too trade on it, and the efficiency it once exploited is arbitraged away. So here, what we're talking about, this is why a lot of these firms, HFT, hedge funds, are very secretive. They don't tell people what they're doing, how they're doing it, because of this alpha decay. So this is alpha decay, accelerate dynamically in recent decades due to more powerful computers and greater number of competing firms. Now, this is going to get worse. The lifespan of a profitable signal shrunk from years to months, in some cases in mere weeks. So here, what's happening is, this is why if you want to be part of a private community, to know all these secrets, that's why I'm building out my community. If, just if, I'm able to build out profitable dashboards generated by AI and coded up by AI and vibe coded to death, do you really think, and I can prove it through a third-party verifiable uh, crack website, log, journal log, whatever. Do you think I'm going to be selling it at bargain herald prices? Absolutely not. It'll be very expensive once we get to that point. I started that this week. Creates a relentless treadmill of quant funds. Now, to do this on your own, there's no limitation. No one's going to restrict you. Once you start bringing in other people's money, that's where the problems start. So months constantly run a massive research operation just to stand still, discovering new sources of alpha to replace the ones that are decaying. This operation has traditionally followed a well-defined human-centric workflow. So this is the workflow they go through. Very important to understand this. I'm not going to go into all of this. So they'll come up with the hypothesis generation, okay? And that's, again, as a human. And you can go to my blog post once this is done. You'll find that in the video description. You have the data sourcing and cleaning. Then you get in the coding and backtesting. This is where you get into that analysis by paralysis. Then you go in the analysis and read and refine, and you keep doing that over and over again. And you get to the point where you miss out on the opportunity, and you deploy it, meaning live trading. So from what I'm seeing with retail traders and day traders, is that they see something, they sit on it, they wait for it to break to confirm it. That right there is probably 50% of the trading opportunity. And by the time they get in, they're only trading on the later end of the opportunity, meaning it's either gone, they make a little bit of money, or they may actually lose money. So this is important to understand that this whole process is broken. From what I've been seeing over the years, a lot of people trade like that. I've been trading like that myself using the technical analysis. It's no longer valid. And in actual fact, let me tell you this. If you're a retail trader that doesn't care about this or won't implement this, or you're going to lose money. And you know who's going to make that money? It's going to be the people, firms that understand this and will take advantage of you. A great example of that, and I keep coming back to it, is broker Robinhood. The reason they're free is because they're selling your order flow to the likes of Citadel and other large HFT shops, hedge funds, and take advantage of that order flow. And now Robinhood is hitting around $100. So many people are using it, and that's why they call it the dumb money, because they're the dumb money thinking they're geniuses making money, but they're actually losing a lot more money and a lot because their order flow is being sold to Citadel. Citadel's the one that's doing well. And this will continue. Why? It's only happens in the U.S. Everywhere else is banned. In Canada, it's banned. Europe, it's banned. Only in the U.S. And why does it exist? Because the lobbyists love it. The lobbyists of these firms want to keep it in place. And there have been sessions on this, on congressional sessions on this. And you got a bunch of old dinosaur fossils asking questions they don't know to all the industry here. And they make them sound like they're wonderful people and they're heroes in the finance world. That's the way the U.S. works. So as long as you don't understand that, you're going to have this dilemma for a very long time. So the entire workflow that I just mentioned here is resource intensive. Hiring teams of the world's most brilliant, expensive quant minds flow with the journey, idea to deployment often take months. Okay, so this is what I said. The opportunity probably goes out the door faster, and it's not scalable. The firm can only hire so many PhDs and process so many ideas at once. But Man Group innovation is a direct on assault on this bottleneck. So essentially, when you get little guys like me doing this and have the capabilities to do it, we might not have the financial means in our account sizes, but we can still do it. The key here is to always make sure you can do it fast, which I can. I can do it same day actually. And the other thing is being able to uh, you have to remember a lot of these opportunities are going to be short term. It's going to be a couple of days, couple of understand that what you develop in the front end with these simulators and the ones I've shown online, they're very short term, and they're worth a lot of money at the time. But after that, I don't know if they'll come back and have the same pattern. And even if it did, I can generate new using AI, new set of code in a matter of half an hour, literally. That's where I'm at. That's how good I'm at doing this now. The agent and the machine anatomy of an AI junior quant. So Man Group has built not just a better calculator. That's how some of the older folks treat it. Oh, it's just a spin up calculator. More sophisticated predictive model. It's constructed an autonomous agent that can execute entire quant research workflow as described. Let's break down the components of the AI junior quant. Now imagine, I just read an article, very current information. So again, using the AI, and as good as I'm getting with it, you can take that article and all the copy, feed it into an AI, and come up with this kind of article and go, wow, this is the process now. It's going to describe to me in detail how it works. So they built this thing. So they have the brain, which is the LLM. So this could be now. This was generated by Gemini. Okay, what I've noticed with this is quite interesting. So they're using technology behind Open AI GPT-4 or Gemini from Google. So when you're using Gemini to generate this article, and I only use Gemini because, well, if anyone knows has the best data set, it's going to be Google because they're the largest search engine in the world. Whereas OpenAI has got to go out and really can't use they may be able to use Bing because they have that agreement with Microsoft. Google can search its own data. So Gemini is way better than OpenAI on its best day. I don't trust anything on the OpenAI. I found the quality of OpenAI is very subpar. It's going to talk about hallucinations, and I've only seen hallucinations on OpenAI. You can see how it was built, and the latest with Grok 4, which is a lot faster. Quality output's still not as good as, dare I say, the best one still is Claude from Anthropic. Still the best one. But none of the IDEs like Cursor or any of the other ones, they will not use the advanced modeling, the models with reasoning. They will not offer that to you because it's a big cost for them to run it through a general aggregated AI API to run a reasoning model for coding generation in their IDE. That will never happen because it's too costly for them. So you're better off just to go out and work directly with these AI solutions with a subscription, let's say, be it on Google or be it on Claude. You're good enough there. And let me explain about the Chinese ones. When the day that DeepSeek came out in February, it was a revolution, and it changed everything in the world of AI LLMs. The thing is, where Chinese are at, they're still pumping out their open source models. But those aren't the best models. The best models are still very proprietary within China and within, we'll call it the CCP ecosystem. And believe me, all the industry in the Chinese markets are using these LLMs. I read that uh, Huawei is using the more advanced, unreleased DeepSeek models. And the same thing with the Chinese military as well. Are using those models that you'll never see publicly. So that's why I think a lot of the Chinese models are not coming out, and they're just putting out open source ones like from Quant, from well, I don't know about DeepSeek lately, and another one as well. I can't remember. Anyways, so again, this is where we need to understand the differences now of where we're doing and where we're coming from doing all this quant research and trading um, with in the past. It's done. It's over. Get over it and move into this new era that we're in now for the last 6 months. It's the way it is. It's the way technology evolves. But in this case, AI is so transformative for just the human species. It's so big. Just as big as man landing on the moon. I'd say it's more transformed. And right behind the AI are the new humanoid bots. It's going to be a new big thing. And on top of that, quantum computing. I don't know where that this stuff goes, but right now, this is where we're at, and everybody's got access to this. So, with the reasoning and hypothesis generation, and as I said, it's the reasoning that makes the difference. Senior human quant can give the agent high level natural language prompt like investigate potential relationship between semiconductor inventory cycles and the stock performance with cloud computing. Now, here it's always focusing on the equity. I put out a video showing you if you focus on futures and options, you can make a lot more money in a much shorter time. And I show tricks on how to do that. And that's in futures and options. So this whole article only focuses on the assumption of equity, ETF, and stock. So again, the LLM can understand this prompt, break it down into logical subproblems, and even search for relevant academic papers or financial news to formulate specific testable hypotheses. Might hypothesize a decrease in inventory levels at major memory chip manufacturers like Micron or XK Hynix, precedes positive earning surprises for cloud providers like Amazon, Azure in one fiscal quarter. So it's a very simple example, but when they say LLM, the LLM is a critical part of what it generates, the quality of the output. If you're using OpenAI and you want to use subpar quality output, use OpenAI, and they'll tell you it's the best. I just watched Elon Musk sit there uh, on his Grok 4, tell us it's the best in the world. It ain't. I can guarantee you that. I've done it. I've tried it. And I've proven to myself Grok 4 is much better than Grok 3, yes, but it's not the best in the world. It's still Claude from Anthropic. Code generation. This is the critical one here. This is what I do. This is what you'll rely on. So this is perhaps the most critical function, and just for the youngins and for the newbies in this is called live coding. Just so you know. Once hypothesis is formed, the LLM writes the necessary code to execute the analysis. Code for fetching data from internal databases, cleaning it, performing statistical analysis, and running full-scale historical backtest. That's what I do. I don't do historical backtest because I know that the AI does it in the background because it will compare everything from what I send it on what you send. That's another big factor as well. And just ask generally these questions because you get bad output. But if you give it a lot of data, which I do, you get incredible predictions, right down to the stop loss, right down to the entry point and exit. That's your strategy right there. And you automate that and build that. So as of Friday, I'm now have done the automation to connect into Interactive Brokers with live trading now and download the data. So I can do that. Okay. We're at that point now. The ability of modern LLM to write clean, functional complex is a key technological leap that makes these agents possible. That's very true. But again, it really depends upon the LLM you use. And the thing is, does it have reasoning as well? Tools giving all the brains hands. So the LLM is not just a text generator, as the old fogies might think. It cannot interact with the real world on its own. So to be useful, it's been given a set of tools. So there's the functions, APIs to call it to perform actions. So if you have a quant agent, these would include data access API. You have to have it. For an actual fact, you have one of two ways. You either generate the data and then feed the data as part of the prompt. That's the best way. That's what I do. Or you do another way, which I do, is if you're working with a lot of data, you can then use that data to generate a high-level report of really detailed, specifically, if you saw what I've shown in the past, futures and options. So I'm now taking the data, working with it. Everything I've done so far in that point is generated by AI. You take those reports, give it a lot of reports, feed it in, then you get a summary report, and you take that summary report, and they take the summary report and turn that into code. That's what I do. And it works fantastic. So the data access API allows the agent to pull the vast amounts of data, including decades of market data, the fundamental firm proprietary. So what I'm seeing now with a lot of LLMs, what they're doing is they're saying, sorry, I can't do that. That's because it doesn't want to be looked upon as being a trading research predictor or a black box that can predict direction of stocks or whatever market instruments out there. Believe me, there will be regulation on that. The regulator is not going to sit there and just once they catch up on the intelligence on what it can do, they will clamp down on that, where the AI will no longer be able to forecast. We may hit that point. So the encoder interpreter is a sandbox environment where the agent can safely execute Python code it writes, crucial for security and stability, ensuring a buggy piece of AI generated code doesn't crash the entire system. That's very true. And you're seeing why it's now done in Python versus C++. I mentioned this before. When you're working with C++, it can be a nightmare on the debugging front, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Whereas Python, it's a lot easier. One thing I want to also mention is with TIODE, the programming index thingamajiggy, TIODE, by a long shot, I have seen Python dominate that index with almost 27% being the most popular language. I have never seen a language over the last 10 years that has dominated that index with 20% domination, which is Python. And you can see why, where Python's going with this kind of stuff. The other thing that this thing will use info to gather for hypothesis, reading latest research papers from forgive me, XIV, archive, I don't know, and economic reports from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has to put out open source documents and open source the data. I think by law. I'd be surprised if it didn't. That law didn't exist. But what we know with the Federal Reserve, you can't rely on that because, well, right now being what July 14th, Jerome Powell could be fired because of whatever. So, as you might not be able to rely on the Federal Reserve. So we also have an internal knowledge base, vectorized database, confirms past research, agent to learn what has already been tried and worked and what failed. And that's, I think, where a lot of databases are going to be used and stored all the information, all the different market encoding for all the different strategies and test that also under various conditions because you generate that data and you archive it on your own. So memory learning from the experience of one-shot script generator. Now, one thing I need to mention about developing a system that generates agents themselves, not using the agents, but generating the agents. So what I'm also thinking is where things are going with agents. I have done a project. I don't know if I did a video on it. I think I did. Where I asked it to generate a system, an HFT system, using agents and creating those agents in C++, I might add. Um, I will tell you, I have not seen more complicated coding than that. The system agent, okay, very complicated to generate. Um, so I just want to put that out there. To generate these agents, I think are pretty complicated. To use them is nothing because that's where the no code, low code comes in. Anyways, so we have now the memory learning from experience business, uh, short-term memory context window, where we have here the short-term memory context window, long-term memory. Okay, again, I'll put those into the blog. Otherwise, I'll be here on this video for days. So we have a planning loop, cycle of thought and action. Now, I've never known this. I don't know. This is new to me. So we have the observe, orient, decide, act. Agent receives a prompt from human or review the sharp of its latest action. Observe, orient. Consult its memory and tools to understand the context and formulate a plan. overall text. Okay, that's his example. And then it decides. Now, if you use what I use, you can see the reasoning in front of you. You can see it ask itself what it's doing, what it wants, what the user's wanting, and you can see the reasoning right in front of you. You can't get that with Grok. You will not get that with OpenAI, even though they call themselves OpenAI. Um, the only ones that show the reasoning in front of you is either Gemini or Claude. That's it. Some of the Chinese, I think the DeepSeek did that too when it was good. But you want to watch the reasoning. You can watch the reasoning and see how it plays out. And when you put prompt in, and it will go through the steps to watch how the reasoning works. Last step, it commits to a specific step, okay, on the decide, and then it acts, executing the decision by calling its tools. And that you can see again with Claude and Gemini. It's an amazing process. Um, After that, when you go through this, you will have to iterate over time again and again to debug that particular dashboard, as I call it. If it's for Streamlit, that's going to happen. So we've got here this guy again, Slavi Marinov, human in the loop system. So yeah, there is a human involved, uh, and they act as a strategist and a supervisor. They have the AI for subtle errors, prevents the agent from getting lost in spurious correlation. AI is a tireless junior quant researcher, human, seasoned portfolio manager, guiding the research and making the final critical investment decision. Can you imagine just rereading that and re-listening? Like, just listen to that. AI is a tireless junior researcher. God. Human is a seasoned portfolio manager. Sure. As this thing evolves, will be eventually guiding the research and making the final critical investment decision. The reason I say that is because now I can sit here and say, yeah, I've coded for 40 years, let's say, in various languages. So it's not like I'm some lame brain at it. But I will tell you, as I generate more and more of this code, I do not look at source code anymore. I look at the result of it, and I look at the result of the description and what is part of the output. So that's what I'm saying is that I don't no longer look at code. The only reason if I look at code is for maybe debugging, which is rare, or if I'm just curious to see how it's reverse engineered, or for reverse engineering purposes. But generally, I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty close to rely on the code generated because so far, it looks really good. Now, as I said before, you don't know until you put live money on it. So we have the strategic imperative. So this is why Man Group is all in. And let me replace this, where the trading, research, trading industry is all in, or eventually. Why? Man Group's doing it, and they're one of the biggest. And if they start making money from it, and all of the other players out there are doing it their own way, and they're not making profit, but let's say Man Group is, everyone's going to have to follow suit with what Man Group does. And then you get all the little garage operators, and then you get all of the portfolio managers out, and then you get all the investment advisors that you got in your portfolio, and why you're not performing or you're actually losing money. You're gonna go, screw it. I'm gonna eventually get into this stuff. I don't know, 6 months from now, a year from now, I don't know. But this is where it gets very interesting. So conquering the data deluge. So yes, there is alternative data exploding, tantalizing possibilities for new alpha sources. I wouldn't rely on that too much. I would just worry about the correlations from raw data. Okay, how its sheer scale and unstructured nature have made it impossible for human teams to analyze it effectively. But AI agent, on the other hand, can be unleashed on petabytes of info, scale data set, satellite images, or web scrape product info for the find anything interesting. And that's just there. That's just for again equity. Imagine what you can do when you throw it into a futures and options set of markets. Again, works 24/7, testing thousands of potential hypotheses that human teams would never have time to consider. This turns into a data deluge from a challenge from a massive competitive advantage. Now, let me tell you something. I have used the most advanced LLMs out there. I'm talking flawed reasoning. I've used OpenAI 4.5 with the reasoning. I've also used Gemini with the latest stuff on a beta level. I will tell you again, best one out of all that is Claude. Well, just Claude, Anthropic. The thing is with four, I haven't tried it lately because it is very expensive to do, especially when you get in an iterating. But I'm sure at some point it will be 100 magnitude of 100. What I'm doing is on the debugging side and on the suggestion side to make the data content better and proving much better for sure. An engine for industrial scale alpha discovery. I mean, think about that. The engine for industrial scale alpha discovery. Again, all the stuff that you see here, done, gone, bye bye. Simple. So you have alpha decaying faster than ever as more people do it. Speed and scale of research is paramount. Human comp might be able thoroughly for complex ideas in a month. AI agents could potentially investigate thousands in the same time frame. This creates Alpha Factory. Alpha Factory. Wow. And people can do this now on their own. I just uploaded 7 projects last week between C++ and so I didn't even talk about that. So my Quant elite does amazing things. One type of strategy between this asset and that asset, it's like probably the best combination right now based upon market conditions. And I'm able to generate it all because of AI. Thank you. And when I say factory, if I'm able, and I did it all in 24 hours. I took at least 35, maybe 40 pieces of content out there, and I was able to generate coding projects in 24 hours with 30 of them. Dirty math and quant in C++ and in Python. It was an unreal set of results. I just didn't think it was possible, but we're here now. So, industrial process for signal discovery and dramatic increase the odds of finding novel, uncorrelated sources of return. The firm with the most powerful research engine will dominate the future. That could be anybody. That could be you. It could be me. That could be whoever. And especially cloud and hosting all these things on a cloud environment where yeah, you can go on scale. It's going to pay for it. I mean, where we're at. So again, this is where they put the nice PR stuff because this is Google and they don't want their stock to get hit because of that bad news. So here they say about the war on talent on quant finance is brutal. Individuals with the requisite skills are rare. High demand from both Wall Street and Silicon Valley and command astronomical salaries. If you have not, OpenAI was paying some people $100 million a year for their services. 100 million a year. You could see it. There was some big gas between them and Meta over it. AI agent can perform the work of several junior quants to allow firm to leverage its most valuable asset, time and intellect of its super researchers. So if you ask me for advice, I think the writing's on the wall. Okay. Automating the laborious 80% of the work, data cleaning, coding, and initial testing. Ask any junior quant or just quant in quotes. What they did in their job, this is probably all they're doing. Data cleaning, coding, and initial testing. AI frees up the senior quants to focus on 20% that creates most valuable high-level strategy, creative thinking, and complex problem solving. Mark Benioff said it of Salesforce. He said it months ago, and this is where we're going. There's so many people out there that don't want to recognize this problem about jobs, And you know what? I'm self-employed. I'm on the sideline. Doesn't bother me, right? Actually, it's a boom fog of just huge opportunities here. So continuing along. So we got this pioneer Man Group and the Man AHL. So they were founded, okay, 1987, original pioneers of systematic computer-driven trading. These are the folks that started that back in what? 87. So now they're doing the same thing, setting a new standard with the AI. The entire culture is built on data, scientific rigor, and technical innovation. possess three ingredients: vast, clean data, robust infrastructure, and deep expertise. The expertise can be brought out of the AI. There's no doubt on that. So this is now, that's what it says here: uncharted territory, future frontiers, and the systematic risks. This was risks. Let's put it that way. So now they have this deployment of AI quants from a major player like Man Group. This is now a Pandora box of possibilities and, yes, perils. It's like a gun. The gun can, do you know how to use it? Can seize it. If you don't know how to use it and you go up against another human, it can be a dangerous thing. So an AI agent makes human quants obsolete. I didn't say that. Right. The AI said that. They force their rule to evolve. And then they say that force the rule to evolve. That means you got to be smarter, brighter, more tireless, and probably willing to wait for less because of these AI agents' capabilities. Quant of the future will be less of a coder and more of an AI orchestra conductor. That's how I feel when I'm building these prompts in these LLMs. Most valuable skills will be, dare I say, prompt engineering. Thank you very much. I'm pretty getting better at it. AI management. Yeah, I know my AI LLMs now. What to use for what to generate with what, and what front, and how to prompt for it. Thank you very much. Strategic intuition. Now, this is important too, and I've said this before when it came to what do you need to know? Math, trading itself, or programming. This is the most important part. Strategic intuition, which means you have to have the trading experience, the trading know-how to be able to come up with spark to imagine entirely new areas of research for the AI to explore. There are ways to do it. I don't talk about it, but I do it every day to come up with the ideas and to find articles like this. So then the other thing is you got to be good at is you have to have critical oversight, deep domain expertise, and subtle flaws in the AI logic or code that the AI itself cannot see. So all those new skills are important. Where do you see the math in that? Where's the math in that? Where's the high, fast, genius, nerdy, geeky coding skills you need to have? Not here, right? You have to have the know-how on the trading experience, and you also have to know how to use AI to generate the code. As I said earlier, I'm no longer looking at the code. I'm no longer looking at the programming because I know the AI has gotten to a point where I can rely on it. The final test I'm at is to test it with live money. So your job will be more strategic, more creative, and arguably more interesting. I think that's very good. I love doing this stuff. The drudgery will be automated, leaving humans to focus on true insight. So that means all the drudgery they talked about that was done by humans, or recent grads from schools with PhDs in math, computer science, done. Bye bye. It's going to evolve so much so fast. It's not going to be funny. So here we go. Concentration of power versus democratic. I can never say that. Underlying LMs are becoming increasingly accessible, potentially allowing smaller, nimble firms or individuals, right? Even highly skilled individuals to build their own quant agents. We're at that point. I've shown that in my code. This democratizes the hunt for alpha. Okay. So it says it right there. Boom. Done. Okay. Everything's now changed. The AI just told me that. The AI just told me that from what it just generated. So the more likely outcome is the further concentration of power because they've got the cash, they got the billions for the huge trading account sizes. Building, running these agents at an institutional level requires not just an LLM, massive proprietary data sets, immense computing power. To do that, it's got to know how to pay to play, costing millions in GPUs. Again, pay to play on cloud. I will never own a GPU rig, never. It's going to be appreciated today, but next week it's going to be outdated. So that's where the cloud comes in, and you just pay up for the latest technology. That's my view. It's getting a lot cheaper now. World class team of humans for supervision. How many? How many of these? How many of these humans get cut today? Okay, this creates a formidable barrier to entry. That's not true. AI is wrong there. I have to say. Potential widen the gap between the human handful of AI super managers like Man Group and Citadel and Rentec and everyone else. So it's saying a formal barrier to entry. That's not true. No. You start small and you know how to grow an account. Not saying you'll get as big as these guys. You can play in your own little world with a lot of power and knowing how to code, how to manage it, to build up data sets and results, and as this article said before. So here's the systematic risk, the black box problem, spurious correlation with an epic scale. I will have to agree with that, but that's why you have to use raw data, meaning you download it from an exchange via an aggregator. IQ Feed's a great example. You're using that data. Data is coming from the exchange itself. And if it becomes such a problem where you can't rely on the data from the exchange, then you got a real problem. But if you're using a third-party data set, this is what it's specifically saying. You cannot rely on it. I've come to the conclusion, if you see all these services that have, oh, I got this AI agent, I got this AI service that can do this, create wonderful videos, those days are done. Why? As it advances, all the LLMs that come out, you do the same thing and save yourself money by not using these third-party services. There's a risk of AI convergence. I think there's a risk of regulation on this for sure. Hallucination and errors. As I said before, I'm only seeing the hallucinations from AI. I've seen very rarely with Anthropic, and all I have to do is close it out. You're in a chat mode, close it out, and start again. You know what I mean? So we have the symbiotic future. So the AI quant is not the end of human-led investment. I think yeah, you're not just going to give this black box some money and let it trade on that. You still have to be involved, okay? For sure. I'm not saying AI does it all. There's a high risk that AI can go off the rails in many ways. You could lose money. So you have to do it in very palatable amounts. Small stages, develop your workflow on how to use the AI when you develop these front ends, these strategies, the automated strategies, and be able to know the opportunities that are out there in the trading world as they open up. But as I said with my futures course, options course, I've done all that. It's all done. It's showing you how the AI, how the 15 firms do it. It's a very foundational course. It's over 26 days and it's involved, very deep. If you go lazy on all this, you're probably going to lose money. Well, I hate to say that, but or you'll get caught up in what they said about everybody and their dog would be doing this stuff, and then that alpha decay comes into reality much sooner and much faster. So where we're at, it marks the moment where AI transitioned from passive tool for analysts into a active partner in discovery. We're going to get to a point where it's going to replace everything. It will, no doubt. The firm not has built out a replacement for its brilliant researchers, but rather a force multiplier that magnifies its intelligence and frees them to think on a higher plane. So the move fires the starting gun on a new technological race or arms race on Wall Street. This is not just on Wall Street. This is going to be all over the place. It's going to be global. A competitive battlefield is no longer just about who has the fastest computers and the most data. It's those that know how to use this information. And really, the real key drivers are going to be the ones that know what's going on in the markets at the microstructure level. So all that still remains. The thing is how you prompt, generate your AI prompting for the quality of output you're looking for, and knowing how to act on it fast and respond on it, and then how long that strategy will last, and then come up with another one the next day, pretty well, or in the next few set of hours. I don't know. But we are there. Direction of travel is now unmistakable. The artisanal era of quantitative research is giving way to its industrial one. The lone genius in the quiet room is being joined by a tireless and infinitely scalable digital mind. I've seen that physically at CPBIP, by the way, as I've talked about in the past. The hunt for alpha will now be collaborative effort between man and machine, a partnership that will unlock insights from the data deluge and redefine the meaning of a market edge. We're here now. It's been here for the last couple of months. New mind of the new mine on the market is here, and uh, the race harness has just begun. So we're at that point. I've just talked about it more online. Okay, so if you want more, go on my website, go on, join the newsletter if you want to know more information about what I do. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.